Arizona straight to the line. There's the snap to Murray. Murray looks left, pumps once, looking. A lot of time. Now he throws, and it's intercepted by the Lions. Picked off down the left sideline. Onwuzurike picks up a block at the 30, 25, 20, Amani 10, 5, and he's spun out of bounds right there. I see you, 24. I see you.
Welcome to another episode of the Twentyman in the Huddle podcast, and I am joined by a special guest. I always love when players get on the pod. Michael Brockers, veteran guy, and now I almost brought the cane out. You know, the old man thing. We talked about it when we had you. You are the only guy in this roster over 29 years old. But I ran into you at the Super Bowl, and we talked a little bit, and we talked about that a little bit about being, that veteran guy, that guy that young guys can come and talk to, and you've got some young guys along that defensive line that could use a little bit of mentoring, and it seems like you've been that guy for them. You're talking about guys like Levi, like Alim, and when we talked in Los Angeles for that Super Bowl, you seemed really excited about where this defensive line was headed and where this defense was headed. And now that you've had a couple weeks of OTAs, you're into mini camp, is that excitement still there for you, or is it even more than when we talked back in February?
Yeah, obviously it's definitely excited, especially with the new addition that we picked up in the draft. Hutch, man, he's doing a hell of a job. He'll definitely open up a lot of more one-on-one opportunities because he has a lot of juice, man. He has a lot of skill set on the edge. He can rush, he can go, he has a high motor. And with a guy having a guy like that on your team, the other teams are gonna, hey, we got to chip this guy. We got to put another guy on him. So they're occupying two guys to possibly block him. And
opens things up for you, right, for Alim, exactly, for everyone else. But you've really embraced that kind of older guy mentality. You're headed into your 11th year. You've had a lot of success over your career. And now you kind of are in that there's a mentoring part of it. And you're obviously still a very good player, big part of this defense. But is that a role that you've embraced as well?
Yeah, I had to embrace it. I mean, I became a leader kind of overnight with the Rams. I was, 7 years in, and, it was new faces in the room. And they were like, "Hey, you're the longest tenured guy here."
Yeah.
So I kind of had to embrace that and just really let it happen organically. At first, when I became a player in this league, I didn't see myself as a leader, but over the years of watching a lot of my mentors and watching a lot of guys that I looked up to. And you just pick a little pieces up here and there. Never be selfish. Always, give back. Always give back to the young guy because you never know how it's going to help them. And it's funny you asked me about leader because this year was my first year actually coaching. I was coaching my son's soccer team. So I'm coaching that soccer team. It's 4 or 5 year olds. And you just see the little things. They don't know a lot, but just passing. Yeah. Passing to your other teammate. We practice on Wednesday. You see it happen in the game. And you get the biggest, joy just from that. So sure. It definitely feels good when you mentor somebody, you coach somebody, and they go out there and they have success, and you're happy,
Do you see coaching possibly in your future?
I don't know. I really don't know. Because it takes so much time away from home. That's the biggest thing. It takes so much time away from home. I'm already away from home. So much playing football. Kind of wanted to enjoy my family after football. So you never know.
You might get that itch though. You've got so many guys on this coaching staff now that probably said the same thing. Guys like Calvin Shepard and Antoine Randall L. And the list goes on with how many Dan Campbell, former players or coaches. And it just seems like you do this so long. It's so much a part of your life.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you step away from it. You're like, boy, I got to find some way to get back into it. Could that potentially be something for you? Now, how old are the kids?
My kids are small, so I have a 6-year-old, 5-year-old.
So that's a little different because they're just they're just now getting into their personalities, their sports, their fun stuff, and obviously you want to spend time with them. But
exactly.
I could see in your future. I really could. You'd be one of those guys that could be down the line. They get a little bit older.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about some of the defensive changes you guys have made. Last year you were kind of a read and react 3-4 defensive front. Now you're changing to more of an attacking, kind of playing on the heels of the offensive linemen and really trying to be in the opponent's backfield. Just what's the biggest difference from your perspective in that switch in scheme and philosophy?
It just opens you up to make more plays in the backfield instead of you being on the line of scrimmage, fighting with guys and making a tackle for a 1 to 2 yard gain. Now you're making a tackle for a 3-yard loss, which is a lot different. You're putting the offense behind the sticks. Now it's 2nd and 11, 2nd and 13. They have to throw the ball now. Now okay, now I can pull out my pass rush. So definitely having a defense like this. Once you hit home, get the tackles for losses, get the sacks, it plays an advantage in your hands. You know what the offense is doing now.
And you had some of your best years with the Rams. And was that more the kind of scheme that they played, that 4-3 get up?
Yeah,
get up
precisely. Yeah, I mean, straight from Coach Wade. Coach Wade had this kind of. It's a 3-4 or 50 look, but you don't know which guy's gonna drop. You don't know which guy's gonna come or which pressure is gonna come. It just confuses you as an offense. So and then when you got guys not reading and reacting, they're getting off the ball. It's a totally different ball game.
And does that fit, you think, the personnel of the guys you have up front, the Alims, the Levis, the Aidens, yourself, those guys, some of those other guys as well?
Self-critiquing yourself and just looking at film, it'll definitely help us a lot better, because watching last year, you watch us read and you taking on blocks and stuff, it's not the same force as when you're getting off the ball, you're going forward, you're just causing havoc. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect. Sometimes you get off the ball, miss with your hand, and then you're just in the backfield. And it happens like that. So when you have plays like that and you got guys going, we have a lot of guys on the edge. We didn't talk about Charles. Charles is a phenomenal athlete on the edge that can rush. Yeah. So he can quietly get a one-on-one and beat a guy, so it's going to be scary when we put this thing all together.
When you talk about Charles too and Aidan, a guy that we've seen on the edge, and he comes down in when you guys are out of base, when you guys are doing some of the sub package stuff, and just the versatility you seem to have with a lot of different guys. It looks like you can be pretty versatile up front with guys playing inside, outside, and you can throw a lot at a defense. You can do some of those NASCAR packages and some of the other things. And just how difficult is that on a defense when you've got a number of different guys that can play a lot of different positions, and you can throw a lot of different looks at an offensive line?
I think it helps us in a rotational standard where you have 3 guys in the middle who all can play each position, so you don't worry about, this guy has to be playing the 3 or he has to be playing the nose or whatever. Guys aren't locked in this defense. We have to put the pressure on ourselves. Defensive line-wise, we have to know every position. So when it comes to it, maybe, the wide motion's the other way. We have to shift. Is that going to mess with our defense? No, because everybody knows, I can play the left shade and the right shade. So it's going to definitely help us. It's advantage us.
All right, I want to go back to last year. You're obviously with the Rams for a long time, and the call comes, and hey, you've been traded to Detroit. What were your first impressions of Detroit when the trade came in?
When the trade came out, I didn't really know anything about Detroit. But getting here, talking to Coach Campbell, it definitely softens you up. It's like, okay, if this, because Detroit has a bad stigma to it. I don't know why people don't travel up here to see it. They just see whatever the movies say, and they're like, oh yeah, Detroit's bad. But when you get up here and you meet the people, and definitely when I got into this building and this facility, everybody's so personable with you. Everybody's like family. They treat you like family, call you by your name, whatever that name might be. Michael Brock is, but I go as Brock. Everybody calls me Brock. So I really felt love in the building, and regardless of records or whatever, comes with, being a Detroit Lion, I felt loved by the staff, and I felt loved by the fans, and that was the biggest thing. And
the fans is the big thing. I mean, you've been here a year now. You know how passionate this fan base is about football. Have you ever, and I know it's been a short amount of time for you, but in that limited amount of time, have you ever let yourself maybe wonder what it will be like in that stadium, in this city, if you guys can turn this thing around? If you guys can be a consistent winner, because you look second half of that Baltimore game, how loud that stadium was, how crazy it got in there, how much that helped you guys. And if you can just get off to a good start, and that can be something that you guys build on, just what that stadium can be like with that atmosphere, how much of an advantage it can be, and then just what this city will turn into because they so want you guys to be good.
And it's crazy because when we went to Super Bowl my first year, we picked up Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters. We got Stu, got a couple of guys. Aqib, we're at practice. Aqib Talib just said something to me. He was like, bro, he said, we own to something. We own to something. And he was an older guy. You hear him, he's been to a Super Bowl before. And when he seen it, he just knew. He just knew, like, okay, there's something special about this team, you know? And I have that same feeling. It's just something, it's like, I don't want to say Super Bowl because that's cliche. Everybody says they want to get to Super Bowl, obviously. But it's something about the way we are moving now. The sense of urgency, how we're getting in and out of the huddles, the communication between coaches and players. It's just, everything is more attentive, like, we want to be on it, and I think that's what's going to separate us.
And that really stems, one, from ownership, from Sheila, and then down to Dan, and just how much has Dan been a catalyst to that, and that feeling that you have playing under a guy like that?
He controls the room, man. He controls the room. You get a lot of coaches, in this league who've never played this game, and all they know is grind. And that's what you're supposed to do, but you also have to have that happy medium with understanding, okay, there's a grind and there's also a chance to recover and, get your body right, be ready for Sunday. A lot of coaches don't understand that. It's like, we just grind all week and we'll just play Sunday. It's like you have to prepare your team for Sunday,
Sure.
And that's what we're doing here. We're locking in on all our keys. We're making sure we got everything in the playbook right, while also making sure we getting our body right.
And he's been in your shoes, and Aaron Glenn has been in your shoes.
Right.
And they're not going to ask you to do something that they haven't, one, been asked to do themselves or done themselves.
Exactly.
And as a player, you can probably respect that aspect of it. Speaking to what you said right there about knowing about recovery and rest and taking care of veteran guys and, everything else associated with that.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I love being here. I have nothing bad to say about the staff. They've been, taking great care of us. I don't want to just say me. I want to say us, because last year, just our record and just seeing they didn't move away, waver because we were 3-11.
The expectation was still there every single week.
Every week, every week we had the same goal to win, and every week we had the same goal to make sure we were ready for Sunday. And I appreciate that as a player to a coach, that he didn't allow the media and the fan base to control what he wanted to control.
Yeah.
He understood this is a team, this is a young team, we're rebuilding. No, it's not good that we're losing, but we got to find a way to keep that happy medium.
And it's also a process, though, right? I mean, new coach, new schemes, new system, young players asked to play big roles, even undrafted guys. There's a process that goes with that, right? And is the encouraging part that you obviously had your troubles the first half of the season, but when young guys aren't making the same mistakes the second half of the year, when you're playing much better football the second half of the year, when you're seeing all the trials and tribulations that you had to go through the first half of the year, now all of a sudden that's got results the second half of the year, that's got to be encouraging to you as well, and that maybe you guys can kind of pick up right where you left off last off season.
I think that's the same. I mean, it goes, that goes to the coaches. You got to think about what they put into the season and what they want us to do, and they had high expectations for us as well. But the fact that they didn't, they didn't treat us any differently because we weren't where we were supposed to be. That's what a lot of players appreciate, because you're a football player in this league. You've seen a lot of different coaches. You've seen a lot of different coaching styles. So you've seen when stuff gets rough, the whole facility and the whole dynamic of the team changes, and people start pointing fingers, and it's your fault, it's my fault. But we stayed together the whole time. Win, lose, draw. We lost together, we won together, and that was the biggest thing.
And that's going to help you guys in the long run.
It will.
I think from the outside looking in. And speaking of coaches, one guy you've got back, AG. How happy were you? Now, he obviously flirted a little bit with the head coaching stuff. Had some opportunities.
Right.
And you really hope AG gets that opportunity here in the future. But selfishly, you've got to be pretty happy to have a guy like that back. Just what kind of guy is he in the room? He seems to garner a ton of respect from all you guys in that defensive side of the ball.
Well, he, like you said, he was a player first, so he understands what we go through, and he understands that, hey, if it's a communication thing between me and you guys, what is it that I can do to help you guys? A lot of coaches will ask you, hey, you learn my system, instead of, hey, let's communicate on how we can learn the system together or how we can build this system together. And that's what you appreciated from AG.
And that's probably part of the scheme changes, right? He saw the personnel they got. Hey, I think Alim's better. He's an athletic guy that he can get. That first step he can get across lines. Same with Levi. Michael can do this. And so let's tailor. Look, I grew up in that 3-4 system, but it doesn't maybe fit what we've got. You've got to appreciate that. And Ben Johnson's doing the same thing offensively as well. You've got to love that about a coach that they can adapt to their players, not make their players adapt to them. I think there's a big difference between that, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's definitely a good deal when you got coaches that know their players and want their players to be better. Want their players to be good in their system, and I think that's what they got.
All right, as well as I do that this defense has to be better, in 2022 for this team to go kind of where you guys want to go. So it's not a short answer, but what the Lions defense in 2022 is better if we can do what better?
If we can, and I know I don't know, I want to say cliche, but if we can communicate, line up, and just go, if we can just go, we can get on the field, know what personnel we're in, know what defense we're in, and just go, we'll be great.
Attack sounds
just
like
the attack is the defense, but lining up, knowing the situation, it's a lot that goes into a little bit of that. Knowing, it's 2nd and 7 instead of 2nd and 3. You and your DBs understand, it's more of a run tendency than, in a 12 personnel than 11. Little things like that will allow you to play faster.
All right, I want to have a little fun. Okay. I want to do a little word association here. I'm going to give you a teammate. You give me a word that best describes.
Oh, you got the wrong person for this.
That best describes that teammate. Now, we're going to keep it to the defensive line, the guys that you know well.
Okay.
But and it's funny, I'm going to start with a guy that Dan Campbell seems to have about 7 different nicknames for.
Right.
But word association, Alim McNeill.
Huge.
Huge. And he is.
He's a huge.
Pound for pound, he's probably one of the strongest guys on the team, right?
Yeah. He's pumping 315 off the rack benching. I mean, the other day he just squatted 315 straight off the rack in the morning. Like he's a huge guy. Like, I mean, pause, but he's a huge guy.
And pretty good athlete too. Can you imagine that guy playing outfield in baseball?
Bro, he's done everything. He's caught interceptions. When watching his highlight was very impressive to see that. Oh man, this guy's 330. This guy's he's a big athletic guy.
And he's one of the guys. It's going to be fun to watch him in this new scheme.
It's going to be fun to watch him grow.
Move him over. Play some 3-tech too, and allow him to shoot some gaps and use that quickness and athleticism.
Yeah,
it could be fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right. Word association, Aidan Hutchinson.
Gas. And I say gas because he has so much like motor and just, energy. He's going. Like, it doesn't matter what he's doing. He's going, he's ripping. You're going to feel his presence.
I was watching defensive line drills today, and that applies not only when he's in team drills and team sessions, but it looks like he really gets after it. He really dedicates himself to doing those individual periods too. It seems to energize you guys some too. I know he did this. You guys working on some speed stuff in a swim drill. He did, and you guys were okay. 97. All right.
We got to pump our guys up, but yeah, he, like I said, man, he has a phenomenal skill set. Coming from college to the league.
Levi Onwuzurike.
He's hilarious. One word is hilarious because he is one of the funniest guys.
Is he one of the guys that lightens up that room?
He definitely makes the room go. He's gonna say something each day that makes you think like, this dude is silly. Like, he's hilarious, bro.
All right, Charles Harris.
Professional.
He's
a
good
professional.
100%.
100% professional.
And I'm just bringing this up, but there was a guy that obviously was a first-round pick, didn't work out for him early in his career, right? He gets an opportunity here, and he performs, right? 7.5 sacks, led you guys, and he gets rewarded for it. He gets paid because of it. As guys on this team who look at that, how much do you appreciate a GM, a coach, where it says, hey, we're going to give everybody an opportunity to play, and if you play, look, we'll reward you.
Yeah.
That's got to be an attractive thing for a player to see his situation, how he performed, and he gets rewarded for it. That's got to be an encouraging thing for everybody on the
hopefully,
roster.
yeah, definitely, like you said. Yeah, hopefully it's encouraging to the roster, man. If I perform and I play well, they want me. They want to keep me here. And this, he's coming from another regime, coming from another team, and he felt the same way. If I perform, this team loves me. This fan base loves me, and you've seen it. And I just appreciate the work ethic that he came in with, because you hear a lot of things about guys, where they come from. This guy, you get labeled almost. First round pick didn't pan out, bust.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not necessarily the case.
Needs to find the right situation.
Needs to find the right situation.
He found it in here.
Exactly.
Being able to stand up 2-point, rush from the edge, be versatile. That just his niche, and boy, he ran with it, didn't it?
He found it here, which is this team fits him perfectly.
You've won in Los Angeles. You've won a lot in your career. What would it mean to you on the back end now of your career to win here in Detroit, a place that doesn't have a lot of history of winning, but for you to come here and be part of that solution, be part of that core that really turns this thing around and helps this organization, this city be a winner, how much would that mean to you?
Man, it'll really solidify my decision to come here, just solidify my purpose on being here, because I don't do a lot of moves without involving God, my wife, and this move was, to a lot of people, it didn't make sense. You get traded, to the Lions, and to a lot of people, it didn't make sense. And then, LA wins a championship the next year, so people like, oh man, that's crazy you left. I didn't leave, I got traded. But being traded here and being wanted by this team, and then coming out and being one of the guys who's a foundation of the team, and now we're winning, it shows why they brought me here. It shows what my purpose was here for. It shows like why Brad was so high on me, why Dan was so high on me, is because I'm a great teammate, I'm a great leader, and I build people up. The team camaraderie, but that's very important to me. It's very important to me because it lets you know, man, are we really a team? Do we really like each other? Are we really gonna battle together? Because when you get on that football field and you got that same Lions helmet on as me, you're my brother, and I'll do anything to protect you. So that team building, it's a lot that goes into it.
And it seems to be a pretty close-knit group, not only just position-wise, the offensive line, the defensive line, but positionless as well. And you guys seem to really do hang out a lot. You guys like each other. You see competition at practice. I mean, you guys are getting after it a little bit, having fun with each other. It's a team that really does seem to like each other, isn't it, Michael?
It's something to it. I felt the same way in LA. I was cool with the O-line. Even though we battle every day in practice, but I was cool with the O-line. Those are my guys because we seen each other every day. We worked out in the locker room or in the weight room, and we around the building because you're around these guys 24/7. For 6 months straight, you're around these guys 24/7.
More than your family in some cases.
More than your family a lot of the time. So we have to like each other. We have to know, who's doing what. How is your life? How are you outside of football? Are you and your wife doing good? You and your kids doing good? That's what's really going to help this team grow together and be successful.
All right, before we go, you got to let me in on the gear here.
This
is pretty tight here.
This is my brand, Brock brand. I came out with it maybe like a year ago. I kind of started just silently, and I'm just trying to build it up, build myself up outside of football. I'm doing my podcast,
nice,
doing all kinds of stuff. I'm 11 years in. I got to find something to do, after football. So for me, this is kind of getting my niche and finding what I really want to do after football.
But there's still unfinished business on the football field, right?
Definitely unfinished business on the football field. I still love this game. I still have passion about going out there and winning games and being with my brothers. So there's there's some juice left in the tank.
Well, he is Michael Brockers. That was a great podcast, and we'll be back with you guys next week. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.